drop the
Ambulance
gun.
using 115
He turns
South Vermont
anyway.
Avenue at the gas station.
The handgun is
Individual
pointed at his own head. Officers are out of the car now, giving commands, and the distance is closing fast. This is Los Angeles Police Department case NRF 01726. It happens on April 3rd, 2026 at about 1:08 in the morning outside the city of Los Angeles, with officers assigned to 77th Street Patrol Division. The location is near 112th Street and Van Buren Avenue after a radio call sends officers toward a gas station near the 11500 block of South Vermont Avenue. The original call is not a vague disturbance. LAPD says the caller reported that a shooting had just occurred and that a victim had been struck by gunfire. The broadcast description is specific: a 45-year-old Hispanic male, black sweater, black pants, armed with a handgun, last seen fleeing westbound on Imperial Highway. The officers involved are Police Officer 2 Antonio Cortina, serial number 45184, and Police Officer 2 Kevin Santizo, serial number 43780. The released briefing begins with Captain Mike Bland from LAPD Media Relations Division. He states this is an officer-involved shooting and that the investigation is still in the early stages. LAPD says the review can take up to a year and that the department does not draw conclusions about policy or law until the investigation is complete. The body-worn camera portion begins after officers are already canvassing the area. They are not at the gas station anymore. They are searching nearby streets for a person who matches the broadcast. On the sidewalk, they see a man wearing dark clothing. LAPD says he matches the ambulance shooting suspect description. The man is walking when he removes an item from his waistband. The briefing says he places it down by his leg. As one officer exits the police vehicle, the item becomes visible as a handgun. The gun is not hidden, it is not dropped, it is in his hand, and LAPD says he points it at his own head. That changes the call immediately. The officers are now dealing with a possible shooting suspect, in public, still armed, with the weapon positioned near his head. Their first response is verbal. The briefing says they repeatedly give commands to drop the gun. The captured wording in the release is limited, but the command itself is clear: drop the gun. He does not comply. The officers try to establish communication while also calling for more units. That request matters. At this point, they are not simply making contact with a person on the sidewalk. They are trying to contain an armed subject connected by a description to a reported shooting while waiting for additional officers to arrive. Then the movement changes. LAPD says the man turns toward the officers. The gun is still present. The officers are outside the vehicle. The briefing says that movement results in an officer-involved shooting. The shots are fired by the responding officers. The man is struck. After the shooting, officers take him into custody. Los Angeles Fire Department personnel respond, and he is pronounced deceased at the scene. LAPD says no officers and no additional community members are injured. The man on the sidewalk is Elia Real Hernandez. He is 45 years old. LAPD identifies him as the subject who matched the broadcast description from the earlier shooting call. No criminal charge is filed against Hernandez because he dies at the scene. The public outcome listed by LAPD remains pending. Investigators recover a loaded 9mm ghost gun at the scene. LAPD says it is booked as evidence. That detail becomes part of the force investigation, but it does not close the question LAPD says still has to be answered: whether the officers' actions were consistent with department policy and the law. The policy basis in the release is procedural, not a final ruling. Personnel from Force Investigation Division respond and assume investigative responsibility. The department's own briefing says conclusions are not drawn at this stage. That means the public video shows the encounter, but the final administrative finding comes later. This is the structure of many armed subject bodycam cases. The incident begins as one call, then changes before officers ever reach the original scene.